Breaking news, top of the show. In the broadcast and writing world, did you guys see the news about Katie Woo? Actually, we've known this for a minute. Yeah, but she is going back to Cali. She is going to be the Dodgers beat reporter. Fabian is still there as well. They'll have two. Cardinals have an opening now at The Athletic for their beat writer. But for Katie, the news on our end, Kratz, is how she did an incredible job building up Cardinal territory, and we've transitioned that show with Jim Hayes and his cast of pretty VIP characters. So maybe we will see Katie pop up again in the future, if you know what I'm saying, within the Foul Territory Network. But for now, that's why Cardinal territory looks the way it does.
I hope she doesn't get too Hollywood on us. I mean, she was holding down Cardinals territory. I mean, got the Cardinals fans through these tough years where the Cardinals aren't, winning at the pace that Cardinals fans are used to winning at, or the organization caring. And she got all the Cardinals fans through, and now she's going to go Hollywood.
Mm-hmm. She's big time now.
She already started with that picture. She already started with that picture. Look at her.
That's an award show picture, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know that person. I only know the Midwest Katie Woo. I don't know the LA Katie Woo.
Katie Woo going Hollywood, but that's why, we couldn't say anything for a minute, of course, in respect to her announcing the plans and finalizing everything. But she'll be covering the Dodgers for The Athletic and for us, TBD, but for Cardinal territory. If you haven't been paying attention the last, month or so, Jim Hayes, Lance Lynn, Matt Holliday, Kyle Gibson. It's a good hang, and they do a nice job of getting VIP guests involved as well.
The Cat. Do you guys know the Cat, Jim Hayes?
Yeah, I do. He's a character.
Oh, he's something.
You got to spend some time with Jim out in St. Louis.
I love Jim.
Yeah.
I think Jim's one of the best sideline / pregame, postgame reporters there are out there. And I had nothing but respect for Jim. He was solid. Jim was one of those guys and people that you meet in your career, and you're like, I get why this guy has a job, and that he has the job that he has because he gets along with everybody, and he understands the fact that his job is to report what's happening. And that was it. And he got to be friends with the players, and he got to where he respected the players, and he did it right. And I love Jim.
Yeah, I mean, he did it so right that as he continues with his role, he also has Cardinal territory and is able to make phone calls and bring in all of these pretty big names to be co-hosts with him on the show. So I recommend everyone check it out. And again, congrats to Katie Woo, our teammate here at FT, and also over at The Athletic for her move to the Dodgers. And now let's get to baseball moves.
Charging the mound.
There's a new general manager in Colorado. Look at the Rockies go. Yes, I like that impressed face from Erik Kratz. That's not one, but AJ, two front office executives that they've brought in over the past few weeks that were not hired within. I know it must have been painful for them, but they finally are seeking external candidates. And here comes Josh Byrnes, who has been a GM with the Diamondbacks and with the Padres. It's been a minute, but he's also coming over from the Los Angeles Dodgers. And he's been an executive vice president of baseball operations there for quite a while now, working under Andrew Friedman in that front office. He knows the NL West as much as anyone in baseball over the last, 20 years or so. And now he'll work with Paul DePodesta. I'm starting to like this a little bit more. With Paul, you're like, he's been out of the game for a while. Josh is very much in the game.
Did DePodesta and Byrnes, did they work together anywhere along the way?
Going through the resume here.
I don't think they did. Do they know each other? They have to know each other, obviously. So DePodesta took over as president of baseball ops, right? And then Josh Byrnes is now the new GM. Listen, it's somebody outside the organization, somebody that knows the NL West very well, and he worked in Colorado, so he's got some ideas, and he's done a lot of things, and he knows the Dodgers, and he's broken up or he's been a part of it, so he knows what it takes to win. So I like this move for the Rockies. Plus, the biggest thing, like I just said, it's someone outside the organization. It's outside someone that they would normally hire. So good for you, Rockies. Now, will the family that owns the Rockies come out and give them money to make this organization successful? That's going to be the key thing. Will he have the pieces and the parts and the opportunity to do things that will help this team be successful in this franchise? That's the key.
He's gonna need some chapstick because he's gonna go all over the place like this. Like, what? How do you? Huh? You guys don't have this? Okay, we're like the Dodgers are on like the 7th step, and the Rockies are like, you guys actually give the analytics to the players? That's interesting. Let's talk about that. So, yeah, you want somebody with a good track record of being with an organization. Hasn't been a GM, but he's been in the discussions. I think the Phillies almost hired him, I think in 2020, whenever Dombrowski came in.
2020.
So he's been coveted. I think it's something that for him, he really clearly wanted to be a GM. Because if you go from the Dodgers in any role to the Rockies, you're like, okay, I see a chance for me to be a GM again and maybe do some good in the Rockies organization.
Yeah, he's tried to pick up some other roles outside of what he's done with the Dodgers. I'm surprised he was with the Dodgers for this long. He's been with LA now for 12-ish years before moving on to Colorado with this news. He started that job in 2014 within the front office for the Dodgers. And like you said, Kratz, you can point to a number of scenarios where he's been in the mix for a role, like president of baseball operations. Paul Taboni got the job for the Nationals. Byrnes was in the running for that one. He was at one point in the running for Mets front office leader. The Red Sox, Mets was 2021 where he was in consideration. Red Sox in 2023, and now he gets the GM role. So he's not leading the front office. He's the number 2 guy in command, but I do think that he will be a very powerful number 2 based on what he's done and who he's been around, right, AJ? Based on the GM track record. So he's actually made those decisions on his own at one point. He was a GM long enough ago that we just had GMs and we didn't have president of baseball ops and GMs. That's how long it's been since he was back in that particular seat. So the GM role is a little bit different. He doesn't have the final say, right? He goes to DePodesta. DePodesta then gets permission from the Monfort family to pull off a transaction, but he's going to be involved in the nitty-gritty, the day-to-day, and he's the one guy in there who comes from the outside and happens to come from the best organization in baseball, and I think he'll hold a ton of weight within that org.
Agreed. I agree. I think both of them. I think Byrnes will actually be able to go to DePodesta and the Monfort family and say, "Hey, we need to make this." By the way, if you guys hear that noise in the background, I know the Phillies are all into this water, but when someone knocks it over, it makes a lot of noise, and then there's glass all over the floor. So if you hear someone, the cleaning ladies are doing a great job of cleaning up the bottle of water I may or may not have spilled on the ground on a tile floor.
No.
Oopsie.
Oops. It's water though. Water's okay.
No, true, but if you hear them, they're like under my feet right now, getting all the glass shards off. So if you see me kind of awkwardly move. But I love the Rockies move. I love DePodesta coming back to baseball from the Browns, and I love Josh Byrnes getting away from LA. Again, he's in the NL West, so he knows it. Coming to the Rockies. Something different for the Rockies other than what they've been doing.
So let's finish with this while we mute AJ, because this is pretty tied into what's happening here. You hear glass shards being cleared away. Kratz, you're Byrnes right now, taking over as GM of the Rockies, and you can pair this with DePodesta. How do you clear all of the shards of glass? You mentioned some issues already. Hey, we should get a modern system of how we pass along information to our staff and to our players. But anything from a personnel perspective for Colorado, I'll do the low-hanging fruit. The Rockies make money. They do well on attendance numbers even when they're terrible. I'm not saying they should go out and get the next Chris Bryant in terms of money signings. That did not work out well for them, and they're not in a position to compete right now. But do not undervalue getting those one-year contracts on on players. If you can convince them to come and even overpay them a bit, and you bank on guys that you think are going to have a really good first half, and then you try to trade them. I know it is not easy to convince certain players to come over to Colorado, but money talks, and there are a lot of good parts of being out there in terms of the lifestyle. So if a player can thrive, more likely a position player for the first half of a season, then they're able to flip that player. The pitching can certainly be an issue. You really have to convince someone via cash to bring them over. And right now it's like, hey, I know this place sucks to pitch at and we're terrible, but want to sign with us?
No, that's honestly not the first thing I do. Yeah, you got to have some guys. You got to put some guys on the roster. I'm saying, okay, we're going to get a couple of the 1-year deals. Nothing crazy. I don't even want to use up my cachet with the ownership. I don't want to come in the first year. I got to buy. No, I'm going to say you got to look under the hood. You got to see what's going on. You got to trim the fat of, the coaches that are just hanging on because they have a job and Dick Monfort doesn't fire people. But to me, it starts in the minor leagues. Something that I know he's seen with the Dodgers since he's been there in 2014, when they started clearing out clubhouses for healthy food for Dodger minor leaguers. Like, there's so much low-hanging fruit. Not talking about analytics, not talking about how somebody coaches somebody on the field or free agents that you go and get. Little stuff, how you treat your minor leaguers, because the organization's, like you said, going to have a tough time finding pitchers. So after I do that and I set this like new groundwork foundation, I'm going to say, what are we going to do? What is going to make the Rockies the best? How are we going to pitch? And he's already been a GM. It's okay if you go, you know what? I think this is how we're going to pitch. All of our pitchers have to meet these requirements before they make it up to the big leagues, because when they're in the big leagues, the field is not conducive to this. We have to make the adjustments when we go on the road. All that stuff, that's where I start. Free agents, whatever. I'm not looking to put a bad team on the field, but I don't think the Rockies are at a place where it's like, ooh, we got to, flip them for a 12th prospect at the trade deadline. To me, you get bigger dividends spending time building that minor league system like the Dodgers have.
Mm-hmm. Fair. And talking your owner into basically buying up anything that teams like the Dodgers have from a resources standpoint. Every team can spend on that. Those expenditures are not small, but they're nothing like signing any kind of free agents. They are small in the grand scheme of things. And I know that the Rockies have cheaped out on some things in the past. I know from some people who have been close there. So maybe they're able to talk them into a change. And on that front, on the cheap front, we are going to hit our next team via guest on the offseason to-do list series. Our buddy Noah Hiles is going to talk about the Pittsburgh Pirates right now in their offseason to-do list. You can check out Noah's work in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, where he's their sports enterprise reporter, and also the brand spanking new Bucko Territory, which is out there, and he's one of the 3 superstar hosts. So make sure you check out that show, QR code side of your screen. Noah, great to have you on, man. You want to lay out the list for us of what you think the Pirates should accomplish this offseason?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to. And thanks for always having me on. I think the list can really be boiled down to one item. Back up your talk. The last couple of weeks, we've heard more about how the Pirates intend to try hard than we've heard them say things of that matter in the last 3 years. So now it's time to do it. That's probably bullet point number 1 is just, back up the talk. You talked about how you want to spend. You talked about how you want to bring in a big name. Well, go do it. You're attached to all of these sexy free agents, right? Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, Ryan O'Hearn, Jorge Polanco, a couple of guys coming over from Japan. Land one of them, and land one of them early enough where you can continue to build. I think that's the first step. Point number 2 in the checklist is nail the Mitch Keller trade. We've been hearing for a year now about how they intend to trade this guy. The rumors started last year at the winter meetings. They flirted with the idea of moving him at the deadline. It didn't make sense. I expect him to be moved sometime this offseason. I think the winter meetings make a lot of sense. And when they make that move, they have to get it right. It cannot be something underwhelming. It can't be a project. It has to be a return better than their big return last year, which was Spencer Horwitz, who, for all intents and purposes, was the best hitter on their team, but they need a little bit more from Mitch Keller. If you're going to give away a Mitch Keller, you got to get Mitch Keller value in return. This guy is a valuable piece to this team, I think, a valuable piece to the rotation, which is the team's greatest strength. If you're going to part ways with him, you need to make it a worthwhile move. Third thing is just keep going. Just because you might sign one free agent, let's say they do. Let's say they sign an O'Hearn or a Polanco, and let's say they get the Keller trade right. They get a pre-arb player of equal value, someone with years of control, someone who's also a little proven. That is not enough. That plus Connor Griffin is still not enough. You need to keep going. You need to keep spending. You need to keep building around this pitching staff if you have any chance of being competitive, because that is what teams who are seriously trying to compete do. And that's what the Pirates claim they're trying to do. They're trying to do things different, is what they say. They're trying to be competitive. Back up all that talk. Let's see it happen.
All right. No, let's just start with the first one. Are they really going to do this? Because we've seen it, right? And listen, we make fun of them all the time because they don't spend, and we get it. But we were in on Josh Naylor. We were just $15 million below what Josh Naylor got. So, we tried, fans. Is this going to be like we also made fun of the Red Sox? Because the Red Sox are always, we were in it, guys. We were in it. So are the Pirates going to give the old, we were in it, but oh no, he got $20 million more? Because if I'm the Pirates, I know I have to overpay. So if I'm Bob Nutting and I'm Ben Cherington, I got to overpay. They know this going in. Will they actually do it? Or are they just going to do the old college try? We tried, guys, but come watch us play because we have Paul Skeens and Paul Skeens.
They better hope they find a way to get it done. I think of last year's Pirate Fest, which is a free festival for all the fans to come down to the convention center in downtown right before spring training starts. Last year was a total debacle for the organization. In addition to selling expired soda and spelling Andrew McCutcheon's name wrong on a name sheet right in front of where he was signing autographs, they do this annual Q&A with fans of the team, and they bring up the manager, they bring up the team president and the GM to answer questions. And that session was not a good time for anyone on stage. Fans were really upset. And if they do all of this talking this offseason and show up to Pirate Fest 2026 without the likes of a Jorge Polanco, a Ryan O'Hearn, a Kyle Schwarber, or someone of that caliber in a Pirates jersey ready to sign autographs for fans, it's going to be an absolute disaster. This front office or whoever has been expressing their desires to do things differently and make a big splash, they've written a lot of big checks. Well, not technically yet, but hopefully these checks can be cashed, because if this is just all talk, which history shows it is all talk until they actually do something. If this ends up just being a whole bunch of words and nothing else, it is going to be a nightmare of not only just Pirate Fest, but just a nightmare of a season, because this fan base is fed up. They had 3 sellouts last year. All 3 games resulted in sell the team chants. You can expect a lot more of those chants if they sit on their hands and don't get any big deals done this offseason.
No, not to pile on, but I'm going to. You forgot about the bricks and covering up one of the greatest Pirates of all times, Wall and Roberto Clemente, because they wanted to sell some vodka sodas. I don't know, something that AJ drinks.
I'm in therapy because I want to forget those things, Kratz. So thanks for bringing that up. I'm going to have to add a couple $100 onto my therapist's bill now. But yeah, I mean, that's it. And when all of those things happen, when the on-field product takes a step back, after a 76-win season, it still takes a step back. When you have off-field issues like they did with the bricks, with Surfside, with a whole bunch of other things that went along with it, and everyone's frustrated, including the players, you have to do something different. It's not going to be different personnel-wise as far as the people running the show. The manager who got promoted after Shelton was fired in early May, he got extended. And I think he's the right guy for the job. The general manager's back, the team president's back, and the owner's still the same guy. So if you're not going to change the people running the show, you have to change the way things are being ran. And yeah, the pressure is on. I can't imagine how bad things are going to get if things remain the same heading into opening day next year.
All right. Well, the second point on your list was trade Mitch Keller. And you also said don't screw it up. So as Pirates fans, people are going to roast me because they're like, well, that was a different regime. But I bring up Garrett Cole, Tyler Glasnow, Shane Baz, Jamison Tyone. What did they ever get from them that made them a winning team? And yes, it's different regime. I get that. But it's the same ownership. And when you sell a piece like Mitch Keller, fans need to understand the ownership has to approve that. They're not just like, oh, we traded Mitch Keller? Okay, great. I hope we got something. That has to be approved by the Bob Nutting. So how do they not screw this up? Because in my opinion, with this pitching staff, I don't think the Pirates are as far as the history of the Pirates will tell you they are.
I don't think so either. I don't think that they're incredibly far away. I think they're a couple of bats away from being, I don't know, maybe something similar to what the Reds were this past season, which for a lot of fan bases, you would laugh at that and say, well, that's not good enough. Well, in Pittsburgh, 500 is good enough for some fans because it's only happened 4 times in the last 30 plus years. So, and I know the bar is much higher when you have Paul Skeens on your roster, but you've got to take some steps forward. And yes, nailing the Keller trade is a huge piece to this. You have to bring in, I think, either a veteran hitter equivalent to Mitch Keller, someone who's going to be a 2 to 3 win player, someone who's going to play every day, someone who might not be the centerpiece of your lineup, but someone who can certainly lengthen that lineup and just be an above league average hitter because they only had one of them all of last year. Or you go the other route and you try to get 2 young, controllable pieces. Obviously, that's a bigger gamble. I don't know what kind of value Mitch Keller has for that type of trade return. And you just look at their history of returns under Cherington. They have not won a lot of trades, especially in trades that bring back young prospect hitters. So if you're going to go and try to acquire a guy who's major league ready but isn't proven, you better be darn sure these guys are not only ready to play, but play a lot, be an everyday starter, because this lineup needs to have at least 3 to 4 new faces as far as everyday contributors are concerned.
I would say, but you watch the Pirates more than I do. Like, you make it to 83 wins. That's what the Reds got to get into the playoffs this year. If you make it to 83 wins and you have Jared Jones and you have Paul Skeens pitching 2 of your games in a 5-game series, you saw what Tarek Skubal's done. So if they trade Mitch Keller for 2 possible future prospects, isn't that a fail to the fact that you're going to lose Paul Skeens in 2 years anyway?
Potentially. I mean, it depends on what type of prospects you're getting. If you're getting someone like, not to say that this is going to be the exact thing, but you look at a team like Baltimore per se, and you get a guy like Cody Mayo who didn't have a great rookie year, but could come in and has that upside potential. If you could get 2 players like that for Mitch Keller, then yes, I think that's worth the gamble because you could potentially get guys who can A, impact your team now, and B, help you further down the line. Now, again, I think the safer route to travel is by just getting a 1-for-1. Get your Mitch Keller hitter equivalent and take that win because you're already getting an upgrade at shortstop with Connor Griffin, and apparently you're going to spend some money on some free agents. So if you can just sign 2 free agents, get a position player for Keller, and then you promote Connor Griffin, that's almost half a new lineup right there. And there's still more work to be done, but I think that's the route to go. And you talk about the pitching. I mean, yes, Keller is going to be their number 3, but you got to remember you got Bubba Chandler here, who I think is poised to contend for a Rookie of the Year award this upcoming season. And you've got some other young arms who can cover a lot of innings as well. Keller is a luxury on this team. He's going to be their highest paid player. And if he sticks around, there's a chance that he might be their number 4 in the rotation. So it makes sense to move him. But if you're going to move him, you've got to get it right.
Okay, when you say keep going, Noah, what are you talking about? Because, McNeil has been possibly linked, and Brandon Lau, and JT Realmuto, and Kyle Schwarber's not going to the Pirates unless you grossly overpay him. Okay, I mean, cool. Sounds like a cool story. JT probably not going there either. Most veteran guys aren't going to go to the Pirates because they don't see it. So you're going to have to do it in trades. And I get Connor Griffin can be a special player, but Mitch Keller can get you, if you're saying Kobe Mayo, I mean, okay, but he hasn't proven anything.
Right.
So what else do they have to trade to keep going? Because once you trade Mitch Keller, then you're going to have to trade. If you want veteran guys and you're Ben Cherington, you're Bob Nutting, and you're the Pirates organization, you're going to have to trade from your surplus, not just Mitch Keller. Do you have the prospects to go out and trade? Because more than likely, Bob Nutting's not going to want to pay the price it's going to take to get a JT Realmuto or someone like that, because they want to go somewhere where they're guaranteed they're going to have a shot, and the Pirates are not a guarantee.
I totally agree. And when I say keep going, I mean, they've got to keep going in a direction that they haven't gone before. I mean, it's going to require more than just one multi-year deal, which hasn't happened in Pittsburgh since I was a senior in college, like 7 years ago. So it's been quite some time. You need to just sign deals that to the rest of the baseball world might not seem remarkable, but finding guys who can just be a serviceable player on half the league's rosters. The Pirates have been lacking those guys. You need some veteran presences. You need just some steady, consistent at bats 1 through 9 in the order. You need guys who know how to win baseball games. So yeah, you might only be signing one marquee free agent, if that. But when I say keep going, it's adding the pieces around them, the guys who've been missing, guys who are well within their price range, even with this low budget that they have. I mean, if they move Keller, they're going to have hardly any money committed to their payroll next year. They're going to have to spend money just to get back to that $90 million mark that they were last year on opening day. So signing a few 2-year, $20 million deals shouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. Maybe trading a couple of other prospects. They have some really high-ranked guys who are years and years away from reaching the major league level. If you're Ben Cherington, you have to ask yourself, why am I hanging on to these guys if I won't even be able to likely enjoy their talents? Because if they have another losing season, he's probably gone. So maybe you explore the idea of trading a Seth Hernandez and Edward Florentino, or even some lower ranked guys, and Esmeralyn Valdez and Antoine Kelly. They have a ton of great young pitchers that I anticipate being top 100 prospects one day. Trade them early, get something in return for them. Again, just find a way to get 7 league average hitters in this lineup, and this team can probably contend for a wild card spot.
Wait, no, the reason he can't get rid of those guys is because somebody told Bob a long time ago, prospects are capital, and we do not trade those. So Ben Cherington sees the writing on the wall. He's like, they're never getting rid of the owner. They're going to get rid of me. And other GMs get the blessing to get rid of their prospects, but their biggest prospect, has he been turned into a salesman also? Paul Skeens trying to recruit guys to come to Pittsburgh? Is that a team ploy? Is that a Paul Skeens is so focused and utterly just focused on being a Pirate and winning as a Pirate that he wants to do that? Or is it hogwash?
I think it's the latter. Not hogwash. I think Paul Skeens is just a guy who wants to win. I think he is very cognizant of how hard it will be to win here in Pittsburgh. I think he knows he only has a few more years left to try to win in Pittsburgh. And rather than sitting here and pouting and being upset about the situation he's in, he says, you know what, screw it. I'm going to try to recruit some people to come here, and we can be legends. We can be heroes. I mean, the 2013 wildcard team, a team that ultimately ended up winning just 3 playoff games, gets talked about in the same light that like Steelers Super Bowl teams and Penguins Stanley Cup teams get talked about in this town. That's how starved for baseball success Pittsburgh is. So if they could just bring people here, who knows what will happen? It's just been an issue of not being able to bring anyone here for reasons that we're aware of. So Paul Skeens, yeah, he's going to do his part for as long as he's here, because Paul Skeens is going to try to win on any team in any environment that he's placed in, because that's just who he is.
Okay, I just have one question before. Can they do it, and will they do it? I keep going back to this. Because I just don't, you got to go off history of people, right?
Yeah.
Will they, so give me your yes or no. Will they actually go all in and do what they need to do to make this team competitive? And will they make the fans happy? Because last year, I remember opening day, people were like, Bob Nutting walked through the crowd and they were like, sell the team in his face. And he like ran away. So he knows what's at stake. Cherington knows what's at stake. Everyone knows what's at stake. The Pirates fans are pissed off, and good for them. But will they actually do what they need to do?
Probably not. I mean, again, like.
So see, that's why you were like,
right.
No, we're having this whole conversation, and I'm just like, all this sounds great. All this sounds wonderful. But at the end of the day, he has to actually do what he says.
Right. And I'm sure, people from the Pirates are going to hear this conversation like they've heard all the other conversation. It's going to piss them off. And I'll just say what I've always said. If it pisses you off, do something to change it. Prove everyone wrong. Prove everyone wrong. No one believes that anything's going to be any different. And they've earned that stigma. They've earned the situation that they're in where no one will ever believe them until something actually gets done. The way to fix that is by actually doing something. If they were to go out and sign a Schwarber, which I know is not going to happen, or someone maybe a tier beneath him, people are so desperate to buy in on this team. They would sell more tickets. They would have a more, bought in fan base. And I think it would also give a huge spark to the players in that clubhouse who have gone on record saying that they need help, that what they did last offseason was not enough. Everyone is desperate for this team to do something different, but you can't believe it's going to happen until it actually does.
Andrew McCutchen, one of my favorite teammates of all time, my son's first ever favorite player when we played together in Indy. Andrew McCutchen, fake news, fake rumor, real rumor. Do you see him coming back? Just like it was North Shore 9 said it. In a Reddit AMA, Alex Stump was asked if thinks Kutch is coming back. Due to frustrations on both sides, he's leaning towards no return. Do you want to see Kutch back in the black and gold? And Kutch responded, which we didn't even need Josh Harrison to respond. Yeah. Wow, that's news to me.
Man, you guys are going to get Kutch in my Twitter mentions now, too, by asking me this. So I don't appreciate that. But if I had to answer honestly, I as things currently stand, I think it's probably less likely. I wouldn't completely write it off, but toward the end of the season, I sensed a lot of tension on both sides. It seemed like Andrew McCutchen was very frustrated with the state of the organization and how they've continued to operate in the last couple of years. And it seemed like there was some frustration on the organization side as well with, McCutchen's comments. So if those two sides can get over it, then I think a deal could be done. I think McCutchen wants to play here, but he doesn't want to play in a place that was like the one that he played the last 3 seasons. He wants to play on a team that's actually trying to win. I think he needs to be sold on that. I think the Pirates owe it to him to try to sell him on that. And after they make a couple moves, if there's still space for Andrew McCutchen, I have no doubt that if he wants to be here, he'll be there. But they've got to make him want to be there. It has to make sense for both parties. And just going off the vibes at the end of the season, I think there was a lot of work to be done in getting that relationship to a point where he would want to sign up for another year in Pittsburgh.
Uh-oh. Kutch is going to watch this.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Kutch. Yeah, there you go.
And we all love him. He's a lovable guy, right?
Yeah.
And the things that, he's even being, quote, faulted for is what? Wanting to be competitive.
Wanting to win?
Right. Yeah.
He wants to win?
Yeah. He wants to see additional players come in and not force him to be the only leader for 3 straight years, the only guy who has any sort of voice in a clubhouse. There needs to be a little bit more than him. I think that's a fair gripe on his end.
I'm going to quote something that he definitely said, but I can't prove it. I didn't get this from anyone. I'm just guessing here. There were probably times last year where he was like, why am I the best hitter on this team right now?
I wouldn't go against that bet. I mean, it's more just, why is this the same thing that we've just gone through? And I wrote that. It's just, you look from it. You go back to July 2024. The Pirates went on a little win streak. They added a little bit at the deadline. They were a couple games out of the wild card. But from the moment August 2024 arrived, nothing has gone right for this franchise. And a few bad months to end the season, that's tough enough. But when that same vibe continues for an entire 2025 campaign, that's exhausting. And few people want to bring winning baseball back to Pittsburgh than Andrew McCutchen. He's done it once before. And to see him be a part of a team that's kind of just seemingly going through the motions, or at least that's how he probably felt the circumstances were, that has to be very frustrating.
Oof. All right, so this gets talked about on Bucko Territory. Encourage everyone to check that out. Noah, great stuff, man. We love talking to you. We love having you part of the FT network, man. Good to see you.
Absolutely, guys. Have a happy holidays.
Thank you, you too. And again, Bucko Territory is the show that you should be listening to if you're a Pirates fan or if you just want to learn more about an organization that frankly has been a disaster for the last while. Okay. But maybe things turn around coming this year if they do put their money where their mouth is. You can hear much more from Noah, Josh Harrison, and Platinum Key on that show. You get 2 a week in the off season, and you'll get more during the season. Be right back. I have a unique holiday gift idea. It is called Superpower because Kratz, they care about you. It's a very unique health platform. It's new and it finally gets you the answers that you need about what's really happening inside your body and what to do about it.
I got the answers. I'm on the journey of what to do about it. Why would I not want to give it to one of my loved ones in my life?
Give your loved ones something that actually lasts. That's right, Kratz. Better health and more time with you. If you go to superpower.com/gift, you get a free $49 premium gift box with your gifted membership. After you sign up, they'll ask you how you heard about them. Please mention FT to support the show. One simple lab test measures 100 plus biomarkers. We're talking hormones, vitamins, minerals, and so much more. You'll get a full health report and a personalized action plan built by clinicians, including nutrition, supplement, and lifestyle guidance. Get after it, FT fam. Oh, Anthony Franco joining us right now, our next guest here at FT and making his FT debut as a guest with us. And you can check out his work in MLB Trade Rumors. Anthony, great to have you on. And we actually prepared a special little intro animation for you on our first topic.
Okay, let's see it.
Sing it, AJ. Sing it for us. Sing it loud and clear.
That's what we went with? We went with Bo? That's who we went with. We went with Bo.
Where will Bo go? So for a little context,
Bo
Anthony,
buy one, get one free.
That's right. We did this last year with Juan Soto, Where Will Juan Go? And it was so damn popular with the 80s music that it is back, just like Stranger Things. So let's start there. Where do you think Bo will go? And can you give us a little glimpse while you're talking about this of what you've been writing about Bo?
Yeah, I mean, I think we did a post at MLB Trade last week, just kind of looking at, we did this for all the top free agents, but for Bo in particular, like which teams make the most sense. And I think that kind of writing that really crystallized that to me, the Jays bringing him back is like by far the best fit. It's a situation where, you know, Bo, obviously it's pretty common for players, even when they're hitting free agency, to say, yeah, of course I'd like to come back. But Bo has said that repeatedly, and he's talked a lot about his friendship with Vlad Jr. going back to their time in the low minors. And, you know, they couldn't have gotten any closer to winning a World Series without actually doing it, and they did this year. And so even if at some point, like the front office kind of hedged and was like, oh, we're going to acquire Andrés Giménez and he can be our long-term shortstop, you know, I think it would be very difficult for them to get as close as they did to winning a title and then kind of back out because they don't want to meet Bo's asking price.
What is the team getting? The Blue Jays know what they're getting. They know that he had a bounce back year this year. Maybe some things were lingering last year offensively. But what is a team that hasn't seen him day in and day out getting if they sign Bo Bichette to obviously a 9-figure contract to play shortstop?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can have some questions about how long he sticks at shortstop, especially if you're going to sign him to, you know, a 7 or 8 year deal. You're probably projecting him to move to second base at some point down the line, maybe within the first couple of years. But it's rare to find middle infielders who hit like this. This is a guy who, you know, he's won or led the American League in hits twice in his career. He would have done so again this year had he not missed the last 3 weeks of the season with a knee injury. You know, he was banged up in 2024, but every other season of his career he's had an OPS above 800. And so, and we saw even, you know, he came back during the World Series after missing a month with the knee sprain, didn't have any game reps. Obviously, there's no minor leagues at that point. comes back in against the Dodgers and hits, I think it was like 340, hit that, monster home run off Ohtani in Game 7 that had the Jays held onto the lead would have been like one of the greatest moments in Toronto sports history. And so, I think that there are a few, infielders or really anyone around the league who you're more confident in. It's just going to make a lot of contact, going to, be a threat to hit 300 and potentially win a batting title at some point down the line. And to get that, even if he has to move to second base in a couple of years, to get that from a middle infield position is pretty rare.
All right, so then let's go through some of the teams that you listed for teams you think are fits. Red Sox, Giants, Tigers, Yankees, and then you named a whole bunch of other teams: Angels, Braves, Dodgers, Rangers. Okay. Giants, will they spend the money, right? Will Buster Posey be allowed to spend the money it's going to take to get them? Red Sox, again, same thing. Will they spend the money? And plus they have to bring back Bregman. They just went out and got Sonny Gray. Make the argument whether he's a number 2 starter or not. The Tigers, well, they have Gleyber Torres, and they have McGonigal. Is it Kevin McGonigal, the shortstop prospect coming, right? And then they have whoever plays third base for him. So they all sound great. The Yankees, again, will they spend? But they got Cody Bellinger. They have other options out there for what they're going to do. So it all seems like, they all are ifs and buts. But at the end of the day, it seems like the Blue Jays are the best team. So why have they not got this done? Because we can look at all these things and say, but they don't fit as well as he fits in Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I generally agree with that Toronto is the best fit. The Giants definitely need a second baseman. Casey Schmidt, who's probably their starting second baseman if the season opened today. He's okay, but certainly not a guy who's going to stop you from going after Bichette. Now, you're right that they already have long-term contracts for Devers and Chapman and Adame, so they want to spend that kind of money at all. And if they do, would they want to put in another infielder? I don't know. I do think Detroit would have made more sense had they not made the qualifying offer to Gleyber Torres. But, Javi Baez, he's had a great career. I know he had a strong first half last year, got back to the All-Star game. But if you kind of line up every team, especially contenders among the shortstops, like Baez is at the lower end of that at this point of his career. And so, you could sign Bichette, have him play shortstop for a year. If McGonigal does reach the majors at some point in 26, maybe he breaks in at third base. And, at that point, Torres is on a 1-year qualifying offer. And so if you want McGonigal as your long-term shortstop, okay, you break him in at third base, you move him over to shortstop in 2027, and you let Torres walk after this year and kick Bichette over. So I think that they could kind of move pieces around to make that work. And then Boston, I do expect them to spend on a hitter of some kind. Now you can make the argument that going after Schwarber or Alonso or Munetaka Murakami, somebody, a pure power bat to play first base makes a little more sense for them. But right now they don't have a clear everyday second baseman. And I do think after the Sonny Gray trade, like adding, some kind of impact hitter is the next step for them.
All right. I want to go to your dark horse teams that you wrote about. There's 4 of them: Angels, Dodgers, Braves, and Rangers. Are they dark horse teams because there's a fit, but maybe not necessarily on the 7 to 8 year contract? Or are they dark horse teams because you don't know if they're actually going to spend on the second base position or shortstop, obviously?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit of both. I think for the Angels, you could make the argument that they don't necessarily need a middle infielder, like maybe a third baseman if they were going to spend. Like maybe they make more sense for Bregman. Obviously, they don't need a shortstop. Zach Netto's locked in at shortstop. They could use a second baseman, but their top prospect, Christian Moore, is a second baseman who debuted last year. And, he struggled a little bit, but the Angels kind of rushed their prospects, and so that's to be expected. I don't think they want to take Moore out of the equation entirely. So, I think for them, you could argue that if they were going to spend, it wouldn't make a ton of sense to go after a middle infielder. Maybe a different position would make more sense. The other teams, like the Dodgers, don't really have a locked-in second baseman, but they like to kind of kick things around, kick guys around, use Edman there, or Hai-Sung Kim could play there. And so I don't know that they want to make a long-term commitment and then lock in Betts and Bichette. But I think that not mentioning the Dodgers at all on any top free agent, just, you never want to rule them out. Atlanta certainly needs a shortstop, but it's just a question of whether they'll play at the top of the market. And if they are going to sign a free agent shortstop, then I imagine that they would prefer to bring back Ha-Sung Kim for less than half the price. And then Texas, they would have been not a fit at all a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, they just traded Marcus Semien, so they don't really have a second baseman. Now, part of the reason that they made the Semien-Nimmo trade is that they're probably scaling back payroll. But if we had more conviction that they were willing to spend, I think on paper they make a ton of sense. It's just a question of whether they want to give out a 7 or 8 year deal to anyone this offseason.
Okay, I'm going to open up the conversation now past Bo and Anthony. You do a lot of writing for MLB Trade Rumors about everything going on. This is like the prime time of the year for the website, along with the trade deadline, of course, in July. So I'll open it up to you in terms of what you've written in the past, say, month or so that you think actually could happen, right? A lot of rumors get thrown out there. There's no shortage of rumors these days. There's probably more now than ever, as you can quickly try to become an insider on social media. There are a few that actually do the top job of breaking news and getting it right almost every time. But from a signing and trade perspective, what do you think like really hits and could realistically happen?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see where the rotation trade market goes. I think that it was a pretty quiet deadline for starting pitching trades. We kind of expected a little bit more than we got. And the asking price, I guess, for teams that were selling pitching just was so high. Now, I would be shocked if the Tigers traded Tarik Skubal. I don't think that makes much sense. But, the Twins are kind of they are not necessarily calling it a rebuild, but they sold a lot at the deadline. And so you've got Joe Ryan and Pablo Lopez. And if they're not going to reinvest and rebuild an entire bullpen and deepen the lineup, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to just go into the season with the team they have now, which is clearly not going to be good enough. And so I could see them being more aggressive and selling later in the offseason. I think that the Nationals with Mackenzie Gore, it's the same kind of situation where he's got 2 years of team control. They haven't gotten out of the rebuild yet. And so, they've got a new front office, new manager. It probably takes a little bit of time for them to come in and get the lay of the land. But at some point later this offseason, I think that you could see Gore on the move as well. And so maybe you get, I don't know that I would take either Gore or Ryan over Garrett Crochet, where Crochet was last year. But a trade of that kind of magnitude later in the offseason, maybe even at the winter meetings.
Anthony, how long have you been writing for MLB Trade Rumors?
6 years part-time, I think full-time for 4.
Okay, so when I played, I finished in 2020. I had gotten traded 8 different times. And MLB Trade Rumors, not once, told me I was going to get traded. And as a player, that is tough to hear. So you guys got to get your sources. But no, I just want people to know that it's you guys do an incredible job. And honestly, I know a lot of players that read it, watch it, and not saying it took over for Baseball America, but Baseball America's had the books in our clubhouse, and dudes would always be pulling up MLB Trade Rumors. So you guys do a great job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's always kind of gratifying to hear. You get players or front office people like, oh yeah, we actually read the stuff that you guys put out.
Oh yeah, no doubt. We are all hooked, and we will continue to be the rest of the offseason. Anthony, great to have you on, man. Really appreciate it, and welcome to FT as a guest here for the first time. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did. Anytime, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. You can check out Anthony's work. If you go on the site right now, you can see tons from him listing rumors, sightings, etc. Hey, we're going to be at the winter meetings Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You can see AJ and myself bothering people to join us on the show. No better way to get guests than to go right up to them and be like, want to come on the show? You can't duck us. Although front office executives can duck us pretty well, I think, since they basically stay in their bunkers and their suites in the hotel. But anyone else is essentially fair game. So we're looking forward to that. We will have some front office execs too. I know Chaim Bloom's booked. We'll have some managers booked as a lot of them show up as well. So we're looking forward to that. AJ and I will be running around in our backyard in Orlando Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And before we get to our next segment, yeah, AJ, did you catch that stray that was coming across the room that Kratz threw at Baseball America, and they cover prospects and MLB Trade Rumors covers trades?
Yeah. Oh, I caught it. And we have a show with them, Kratz. I don't know if you know that or not.
That was
we
neat.
have a very nice show at Baseball America. I don't understand what you don't like about Scott. Why did you take a shot at Scott?
We don't. We break down. You said like they were replacing BA, and I'm like, but they're two different. They cover two different things.
No. I did not say they were replacing. I said they had the hard copy of Baseball America on there, and on the same level, you had your phone, MLB Trade Rumors. Until Foul Territory Network came along, BA now has a site online, so now you can scroll through your BA stuff too. They
Okay.
reached that apex. MLB Trade Rumor reached that apex that Baseball America was at. Also, it was two in the
Oh.
same.
You were misconstrued. I think the way that you described, you were like, oh, move over, BA. Here comes
No.
MLBTR, and I'm
They
like,
had
they're
the
two totally different sites. BA covers
Mhm.
the
they
prospects, the
had the
college
book.
game. Right. You're saying the book for BA is like a staple in a clubhouse. Another staple in the clubhouse is guys checking their phones to see MLBTR, and there's a few other things. Of course, they're checking to see a Ken Rosenthal breaking news report, stuff like that. But that's what you were saying. It did not
Yeah.
come across that way, so that's how we end up fixing it a little bit. Just a little bit of
Bring it.
surgery to help you out.
Bring JJ Cooper on. We'll have a Royal Rumble. You and JJ versus me.
He's so nice that he would just be like, I understand what you're saying, Kratz. I listen to you all the time. I'm sure he'll text me at any moment at this point that we're bringing him up. But let's get to moves. There actually have been a number of free agent pitcher signings, and a lot of casual fans have no idea who these pitchers are. So let's get into it.
Show me the money.
Show me the money! Show me the money!
Some people are like, who? Who's this guy? The Blue Jays end up signing yet another pitcher. So Dylan Cease is on board. I would say more of a proven commodity and a very durable commodity that they signed for big money, right? High 100s mil in net present value. This is Cody Ponce on a 3-year contract, $30 million. Went overseas, pitched in Japan, didn't really have success there. Ends up moving over to the KBO, the Korean league, the top league in Korea for baseball, and he thrives. In fact, this past season, he was the MVP. And I don't want to tell a tale, AJ, of someone going down a level, right? Because like the KBO is not as good as NPB in Japan, not as good as MLB, because there is a story here of him continuing to tweak. So he's getting 3 years, 30 million for a reason. Many teams believe in the way that the stuff is elevated. He's 6'5", 255. He spent a little bit of time in the Pirates organization. That's actually usually appealing to teams, especially if you're going like 5 years back. They're like, okay, a commodity that probably wasn't tapped into correctly back then. Back then he was like sitting 93. Now he's mid to upper 90s. He added a kick changeup. That's become his primary pitch. There's a lot here that changed. Velo stuff, mechanical tweaks. Your thoughts on someone like this as an expensive lottery ticket, but one that could end up being a big part of the Blue Jays rotation?
I mean, good for Cody Ponce, first of all. But my question is, if you're the Blue Jays, you're coming off winning the World Series, and who are your free agents on this pitching staff that you have for the Blue Jays? Chris Bassett, Max Scherzer. Now, and then Barrios. What are you going to get out of Barrios? Does Cody Ponce fill the need that you have for the Blue Jays? And my answer to that is I don't know. But if you know having proven commodities in a guy like Max Scherzer or Chris Bassett, and you can get them from 1 year at a time instead of Cody Ponce for 3 years, which one do you choose? I don't know. Because, again, I don't know enough about Cody Ponce. I mean, great. He had a great year in Korea, but I've seen guys from Korea come over and they've been okay. Erik Fedde went over there. He was okay when he came over here, right? So good for Cody Ponce, but is this the move that's going to get the Blue Jays the World Series? I don't know. Maybe not. We'll see.
Well, yeah, they're accumulating arms, Kratz. So they bring everything back, right? And they face a Dodgers team that was loaded with talented arms, and you could bring them in, even if they had just pitched, like Yamamoto or Glasnow popping up, right? Like when if you're able to get to a longer playoff series, having starters definitely matters, but also having as many as possible, being that injuries occur and you can always use those starters in a variety of ways, right? So do you feel like this is a good way for them to acquire pitching talent? And if he does hit, I mean, $10 million per year for a guy, let's say, who turns out to be a number 3 starter, that would be pretty damn good.
and his stuff, like because of the day and age of our analytics and all that stuff, this is where it really helps. This is where guys, I think he was 17-1 when he was over there. He won the Triple Crown for pitchers. He won the MVP. He was dominant. Before, you'd look at it and go, it was Korea, maybe not as good a talent. Now you look at his stuff, the kick change. Everybody thought he was a pronator. He can't pronate, so he can't turn the ball over this way for a changeup. Now he's throwing this kick change. The video I watched, it looks like a splitter. It looks like a splitter that dives kind of down and into lefties. And when you increase your velocity, when you say you sit 91 and 93, it's not gonna play right now, especially when your ball's moving left to right. But he upticked his velocity. It looks like he's more balanced over the rubber and through his pitching mechanics. To me, it's a no-brainer. You need, as the Dodgers showed, 6 or 7 starters to make it through the year. Now, they just paid for Dylan Cease, who makes all his starts. They're paying Gausman, who makes all his starts. You don't know what you're going to get from Jose Barrios. And Savage is young. He's not going to give you, even if he's healthy, he's not going to give you all the innings you need. So if you can accumulate 6 quality starters, to me, I think this is a no-brainer. It's a great contract for him, but it's also great for where the Blue Jays are in their rotation. They don't need him to step up and be the number one guy.
Yeah, AJ, the thing that I feel like organizations have struggled with over the past quarter century, which is why you don't have back-to-back champs since the Dodgers and you don't often have someone pop back up in a World Series, is the way that pitching bounces back the year after they go essentially the distance. And that's what the Blue Jays had to do with their pitching staff. So like Kratz mentioned, Gausman, he's not young anymore in the bigs. Savage is on the other end of that, where you haven't built up a significant innings workload, and they used him a ton in the playoffs. Of course, Brios coming off injury, Bieber's coming off injury, and then returned obviously during the trade deadline stretch run for the Blue Jays and then the playoffs. But again, coming off a missed year plus, Cease is your durability guy. So here's Cody Ponce added to the mix. Nobody's looking and being like, oh, why? Nobody does this anymore. Why would they do a move like this? There's no room for Cody Ponce. There's always room for starters. You need way more than 5, 6, 7 starters to get through an entire season. So they like this enough. And I will point this out, AJ, to your point of Scherzer and Bassett being free agents. After this year, like this coming season, Kevin Gausman is a free agent. Shane Bieber will be a free agent. And Jose Barrios will be a free agent. So Ponce could be even more valuable for 2027 and 2028, depending on who they're able to bring back and not. Plus, the Blue Jays are freaking rich. They made a ton of money during the playoffs, and they're flaunting their cash right now.
That's fine. I said good for them. Good for Cody Ponce. Good for the Blue Jays. It's depth piece. 3 years, $30 million, not going to kill you over the long haul. So I like this move. I'm not criticizing this move. I'm just saying, what is he going to be? I don't know what he's going to be, because sometimes, listen, no guy has gone there hasn't been a guy who's gone over to Japan or gone over to Korea yet that's come back and been like, he's going to win a Cy Young, or he wins a Cy Young, or he's in the top 3 or 4 Cy Young vote every time, right? So listen, I love this move for Cody. I love this move for the Blue Jays. It's a depth piece, but if you're a Jays fan, don't go out there thinking like, oh, we got Cody Ponce. Here we go. We're going back. Like they're still gonna need some other pieces.
And we're seeing the questions flow in here. Kratz asking about Amai or Zach Gallen, or planning on stretching out Varland. I think there's a chance the Jays could still go after another big name starter. I don't think it's as likely as them going after 2 pretty solid relievers that cost cash. I think that's going to be the next expenditure for Toronto. What about you?
Yeah, the Varland thing, the Twins tried it. I think the Twins tried it twice, and it just wasn't the dominant Varland that you see out of the bullpen. So you go, okay. But to me, I think they're I was trying to do the math while you guys were talking. I think they're a few innings short. Because of the amount of starts that you think you're going to get from Trey Savage, the amount of starts you think you're going to get from Bieber. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Savage gives you 32 starts. Maybe Bieber gives you 32 starts. Berrios gives you 32. Gosman and Dylan Cease, they all give you 32 starts, and then you're fine. Like you don't need anybody. That's not the reality. That's not the reality of how this game works. That's not the reality of how you're successful into the playoffs. And I think if Cody Ponce this year becomes even, let's say they get one more starter, and he becomes that long guy in the pen. Look at what Nick Martinez, and I know Nick Martinez, he went to Japan and he came back. He's been the ultimate like Swiss Army knife. He swings, he starts, he comes in the bullpen. Cody Ponce is to a T the exact type of pitcher, except he throws a little bit harder. And Nick probably has a little bit better control, but that's yet to be seen. So to me, I love this move. I love what they've done, and I think they'll still be in the market for a starter, maybe not necessarily unless it's a high-end closer like a Robert Suarez.
Mm-hmm. Hey, look at them right now. They're better. Blue Jays are better on paper. We got to see what happens with Bo. I get that. But right now, they look like a better team, right? And they did a lot of things really well in the playoffs without Bo. So, of course, I think there's a good chance. No? You don't think so, Kratz? I mean, they got through a good chunk of the playoffs without Bo. I mean, I think even if Bo return, this is still a really strong ball club. I do think that they're the most likely team to retain him.
I think they did do nice things without Bo, getting through the American League. I think they don't have Bo in the World Series. I think I'm not going out on a limb. I don't think it's the same type of World Series. He was a big piece. And if you had to get through the National League, teams they're just gonna be better. So yes, they got through without him. But they need that. They can't just say, oh, it's okay. Well, we have Anthony Santander. We're not going to replace Bo at all. We're just going to go Ernie Clement. You're sliding in at second, and Andres Gimenez at short. I'm not saying they need to get him. I'm saying they need to get a bat to replace what he did from April to the beginning of September for the entire season, or I think they could end up a little offensively short.
Right. That's fair. I mean, 200 hits, it means something. And there's some pop there that came back for him eventually too. Okay, let's get to some other starters here. Some more names that you might not know, or you might be like, oh, that guy's back. Anthony Kay. Do you remember the name? Former first-round pick by the New York Mets in 2018. 2 years, $12 million, another $1.5 million that he can make in incentives with the Chicago White Sox. AJ, it's another Eric Fedde special. You mentioned it earlier, but they did this with Fedde. For them, they look at Fedde as a big success, I think. Why? Because he pitched well for a first half, and then they traded him away and got prospects for him, and that's what the White Sox needed to do. So Fedde faded in his time with St. Louis. For Kay, this is a guy who pitched in the big leagues, about 85 innings, 44 appearances for Toronto, Chicago, and the Mets from 2019 to 2023, then goes over to Japan and was good the first year and then was dominant this past year in the NPB. Second best ERA among starters at 1.74, 155 innings. He led NPB in starting pitching strikeout percentage, his K rate, 21.9%. So his walks came down from what he used to be, really good at limiting quality of contact, all of the things that make front offices drool. It's just that he had a pretty long stretch in the majors and didn't pitch well. And yeah, there's been stuff tweaks, but maybe not to the extent that teams saw with Cody Ponce. That's why you get the price at 2 years, $12 million. What do you think?
Sure. Cool. Like, I don't know, because I don't know. Some guys come over again from Japan and Korea and do great. And some guys come over and they're okay and they don't make it. You just never know what's going to happen with these guys, because there's a reason why they were in Japan. And there's a reason why they were in KBO, whether it was a control, whether it was they didn't have a second pitch, whether it was this or that. And until I see these guys pitch, and listen, Eric Fedde was great for the White Sox for half. They traded him. What'd they get for him, though, Scott? Who did they get back for Eric Fedde?
I got to remember which prospects were in the return package.
Yeah, exactly. They got Miguel Vargas is what they ended up getting, because remember it was the 3-team hoo-ha, hee-ha, hee-ha thing they did that one year where the Dodgers got Kopech and they got Tommy Edman and the Cardinals got Fetty and all that. So the Dodgers won and they sent them Miguel Vargas and 2 A-ball kids that I don't know that even if I don't know what they did this year. So yeah, I mean it can work out, but is this a guy that's going to put the White Sox not to lose 100 games? I don't know, maybe, but good for him. Again, he got to come back and he got 2 years, $12 million, and he got a chance to make more. So cool. Welcome back, and I hope you do great, especially for the White Sox, because I'm a White Sox fan.
Well, and the bar has been set very low for the team in terms of what they do in the offseason, so they did spend.
Hey, Chris Getz said they were going to spend. They're spending
a little bit of money.
No, I like Anthony Kay. I met him right before he got called up to the big leagues. Back when I was still playing. Good young guy, probably a little naive in the sense of like, hey, you know what? I didn't spend that much time in the minor leagues. Just going to go out and throw my slider. He was out there slinging the rock. And I think it's something that guys go to Japan and they learn how to pitch. That doesn't mean like they didn't know how to pitch before, but some guys throw and they threw better than everybody else, and then they make it to the big leagues and it's like, whoa, now I got to learn how to pitch. I got to learn how to take care of my body. I got to learn how to make 24 starts like he did last year. I think he made a few starts up in the big leagues, and then he got moved to the bullpen. It's not going to work out. Like, you got a consistent 24 starts throughout an entire season over in Japan. Now you come back and you've reestablished yourself as like that routine. AJ will tell you the guys that don't have routines don't stick in the big leagues.
True, but I mean, 24 starts, is that what they're counting on? 24 whole starts?
No, just the consistency that he only started. He didn't go and pitch out of the bullpen because his first 2 starts didn't go well. And then we need you back. The White Sox, if they get 24 starts out of them, you can't tell me that's not a successful season.
24 starts I would say even for a $6 million a year pitcher, 24 starts in the 4 ERA is a bargain in the sport at $6 million per year. I mean, as a back end starter, I think most teams would take that.
Okay. If you got, I mean, sure. Again, I hope it goes great. I hope this is one of the best signings of all time.
Yeah.
For
yeah.
everybody involved.
I'm just providing as much as I can here. None of us are going to act like we're watching NPB or KBO games. So we get highlights, we get scouting reports, we read articles, and that's how we can break guys like this down versus the major leaguers that we get to watch more consistently. So while we're on the topic, we've got a little theme here in Money Moves. Ryan Weiss, what does the name mean to you? Probably not much, but the Astros signed him up, major league deal. They have a club option on that one for 2027. For 2026, it's 1 year, about $2.5 million. He pitched in the KBO the past 2 seasons. His story is more unique too, Kratz. I mean, this has the true underdog story written all over it. So he never made it to the majors. So this will be his first time in the majors coming up this season. He made it up to AAA, both with the Royals and the Arizona Diamondbacks organizations. Wasn't working for him. 2023, indie ball. Then Chinese Professional Baseball League before finally signing over in Korea. So this guy has clearly made the rounds, and he's figured it out in terms of being successful in the KBO, and the Astros are going to give it a shot. We'll get into the Astros side of the equation here and how they're going to think about shopping for starters, but this is a guy who has a chance to crack the rotation this coming season.
All I can go by is his numbers. I love the story, though. The fact that he went to the Chinese Professional League, he was grinding. He had a chip in the chair. He kept throwing. He stayed healthy. Made 32 starts this year. I was looking at his numbers. 218 strikeouts in 170 innings. Like, that's good. Again, we're not only going by numbers. We can go by the analytics. They have TrackMan. They have all the similar stuff that they have in the big leagues in these leagues. And so teams can see, hey, you know what? This is what we really like. Yes, we get it. His walk rate was probably a little bit higher than we want, but his durability gives us another starting option. And good for him, got himself a big league contract. Some of these guys, they have to figure out if they're going to sign to go back to Korea or Japan. So that's why these contracts, these signings are happening. And there's guys that have success and come over just because they get a consistent opportunity. Like I said about Anthony Kay, not everybody is a superstar and gets consistent playing time or starts. So good for these guys cashing it in when they go over there.
Yeah, and actually, to your point, there were multiple reports that Kay turned down bigger money from Japan, and sometimes that's like agents flaunting that. I actually believe it because you can't afford a pitcher like that in NPB if he's top 3. They will try and keep those guys, but he wanted to come back to the States. Okay, last piece of the puzzle here on Ryan Weiss for the starting rotation as a potential option for the Astros. What do you have on the Astros this offseason, AJ? Framber Valdez is going to sign elsewhere. I think that's going to be a divorce that we're just waiting to get official. He'll sign with another ball club. And Chandler Rome, part of Crush City territory, and The Athletic reported that the Astros are not going to play for big starters. As we know, Jim Crane generally treats that luxury tax number like a salary cap, like a little below it, a little above it, but like he really sticks to that number, and that number is $244 million this season or this coming season. The Astros have clipped about $16 million from their payroll with guys like Mauricio Dubon moving over to the Braves via trade. And so Chandler says they're about $25 million under the first luxury tax threshold, according to outside approximations. They've gotten some interest on some of their outfielders like Jesus Sanchez, who was brutal for them in the second half of the year once he got traded over there, and Jake Myers, who actually had his best offensive season and is a pretty solid defender in center field. But what do you think the Astros need to do to get back in the playoffs?
Sign a pitcher, sign a starting pitcher. Need Hader healthy, need Abreu healthy, and they need a bat. Wherever that bat is, I think they need a bat. They need Alvarez, obviously, to play the whole year. And they got Correa. They have Pena have another good year. Altuve is going to do what he does. Diaz behind the plate is going to be okay, but they need to find somebody in the outfield that can do something. And if they have to trade Jake Myers, they might need 2 somebodies to do something. And then they need a starting pitcher because Hunter Brown is great. Some of these other guys are great, but they need a bona fide starter if it's not Framber Valdez. And where do they find that? That's going to be the question. I think the bullpen will be all right. I think the offense will be okay. But they need a bat in the outfield that can really do some damage because their outfield for years has been kind of a struggle city. So what will they find that can take over in the outfield? And then a starting pitcher to pair with Hunter Brown because the rest are okay. Whoever those people are at the back end will be fine. The Astros can kind of figure that out. They've been good at it, but they need someone else that's a stud at the front end of that rotation to pair with Hunter Brown.
Yes, I think that starter is key for them, but I also felt like their bullpen was a little short. When Montero never really came back, they were, that was like the 3-headed monster. It was Presley, Abreu, Montero. He fell off. Abreu is still the stud. He's still getting his 65 to 70 appearances. Hader getting hurt at the end of the year killed them. It killed them. They finished 3 games out. Not saying it was because Abreu or somebody else was blowing games. I just think if you can't you can't have 3 guys. I think it was like Abreu, Okert, and Hader that were leaned on. When Hader goes down, now all of a sudden you're leaning on Caleb Ort a little bit more, who ended up getting hurt at the end of the year. You're leaning on Brian King. Like, these are names that are good pieces, but when thrust into a larger role, you need a little bit more depth. Similar to when they went and got Hader and they still had Presley. I get it. They got rid of Presley then, but it's okay to have really, really good options in the same role because you figure it out. You get the best players, and that's what the Astros have always done. They've gotten the best players, and they've put that team out on the field, and they've consistently won. And you're talking about a team that doesn't want to just make the playoffs. They want to win the World Series.
Yeah, you're right. It was getting dicey there. Yeah, you had Hader, then he got hurt. Abreu, King, Steven Okert, Bennett Sousa emerged a little bit for them, but they could do some work there in the bullpen. And from a position player perspective, I mean, is Cam Smith going to take a step? He was not good, then found it for maybe a month or 2, and then wasn't even getting much playing time down the stretch, but a young kid who I don't know. I don't think a lot of people expected to even be in the big leagues as fast as he was. Maybe was rushed a little bit as he cracked the team and had a good spring training. But we'll see if he can, emerge as an outfield piece for them. A lot of the other positions do seem to be set. Pena, Alvarez, Altuve, Correa, Isaac Paredes, who some people have thrown rumors of trades for him, and I do not think they're going to trade him. Dana Brown has thrown that down. They love him. But anyway, we'll see. We'll talk more about the Astros at some point. Let's step aside, and we have another pitching signing to get to. It's a notable name coming up next. KP, the website is chubbyshorts.com. The brand is Chubbies, but it's not just shorts.
Yeah, don't be fooled by the website's name. This is a one-stop shop for all things that I love. Swimming trunks, golf polos, and even flannels. It fits me perfectly. One-stop shop is the place to go.
Yes, sir. KP, I've been wearing their flannel overshirt. It's like my favorite flannel and your softest sweater having a little baby. It's the best of both worlds. Classic flannel look with the warmth of a fleece. And we know it's that time of year to pull that off. The Chubbies flannel overshirt. It feels like your favorite flannel, but with the warmth of a cozy sweater. And for a limited time, Chubbies is giving our listeners 20% off your purchase at Chubbies with the promo code FOUL at checkout. But if it's Black Friday, skip the code. Take advantage of an even bigger markdown during their exclusive Black Friday sale. Just head to chubbiesshorts.com and make sure to support the show by telling them that Foul Territory sent you. Hey, we got a little shakeup going on with that Angels rotation. They're working on, of course, the Grayson Rodriguez addition that they made, and now adding that with Alek Manoah. So they signed him to about a year and $2 million guaranteed. He's 27 years old. Remember, he had it all a few years ago, injuries and effectiveness, the whole deal. He didn't pitch in the majors this past season. Braves had scooped him up late, and they ended up non-tendering him. So Kratz to the Angels have some lottery tickets that could hit this coming season?
I mean, yeah, why not? I don't see Grayson Rodriguez as the same lottery ticket. I also don't see, and this is the ignorant player in me and not the scout, because I haven't watched Alek Manoah when he was in AAA throwing. Does he have that confidence? And we called it swagger. He was on the mic at the All-Star game. He had all of that to throw his pitches in the zone. When he came back, people say, "Oh, he put on his weight. He never really had to work too much." Like, all that stuff is just, it's eyewash unless he says it. Unless it's out of his mouth, it's just people trying to figure out why he didn't do well. The reality was his slider was not in the zone as much as it was early when he was an all-star. So at 27 years old, you have plenty of time to figure it out. The Angels could get a super huge 15 to 20 starts out of him, which would reboot his career again. But he's got to come in ready, because there's times when, prospects come into spring training and they just kind of get it going as the season, spring training is going. He's got to come in right away for him to fit in again with Kikuchi, with Jose Soriano, with the fact that they have Grayson Rodriguez. Like, you have to be ready to go. And I think he has a lot to prove. And to me, an ex-All-Star who's still 27 years old, is crazy to say that. I said it twice. Like, still 27 years old. I have a hard time believing it's not going to work out. And I've been wrong before, but I guess it's just the player in me.
Yeah, it's a chance for him. That's it. He got a big league deal. It's got a chance for him to be good. Good luck. Hopefully Alek Manoah figures it out and can do it. He's been injured. He's back, and hopefully the Angels figure something out. I think Mike Maddox now is in Los Angeles with the Angels. He's a great pitching coach. I've had him before, so maybe he can figure something out for Alek Manoah, because he was fun to watch.
Hey, let's get to our next guest. We ready to go? Matthew Boyd joining us right now, coming off a brilliant 2025 campaign, an awesome year with the Chicago Cubs. And here's our buddy, Matt. Great to have you on, man. How's your offseason? And I like to ask this for the first time when I talk to a player after the season comes to an end. Did you have time to do a little reflecting? And if so, how do you evaluate what just happened?
Yeah, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me on. Yeah, man, I'm super grateful. Super grateful to get to play for the Cubs this year and get to experience like playing at Wrigley every day, like the energy that's brought every single day. You get to feed off it, and it's different, I mean, Monday nights in April when it's 30 degrees, and we're playing the Rockies and it's a sold out crowd sort of thing. Like it's special. It's different. And um I'm super thankful for that. Man, you look back at like the whole season and you're like, it's one of those things where it's like we wish we could do more, like you look at the teams that were, the Brewers who beat us and the teams that were still around, you're like, we could have easily been there and doing our thing. And unfortunately, that's just how it shakes out sometimes. It's an inch here and an inch there, and a game that's won within the margins. But like it's was happy and grateful for the year we had with this squad, and it was wish we went further, but it was a lot of fun.
All right, Matthew, I hate to bring up a sore subject. You brought up the Brewers, so I got to go there early. Well,
Yeah.
They started you in game one on short rest. What
Yeah.
were you? And it didn't go very well. I'm sorry, because I think
Yeah.
you're awesome. But what was different? Explain as a pitcher, a starting pitcher, and I don't know if you've ever started on short rest or not. But what's different
Yeah.
when you are used to a 4-day and then all of a sudden you go into a 3-day rest, and then they're like, "Oh, you're
Yeah.
starting." Explain what's different to the people out there listening from a starting pitcher's viewpoint.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just like, in terms of like, yeah, I don't do the same routine in between, but there was nothing like I truly believe this. If a ground ball's hit like, maybe 10 inches, a little more towards Matt Shaw, and one fly ball is hit 2 more feet towards Ian Happ, I'm cruising and we're talking about something different. It's just, it was one of those weird games where it let off with double, 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 and they jumped on 2 first pitches, and, we could get into why or how or, whatnot. I mean, was anything in like because of the rest? Did the outcomes happen because of the rest? No. Like I felt great. And my preparation, I mean, I threw on shorter rest, in advance of it. But like it had nothing to do with like me being ready for that inning, had nothing to do with the rest that I had. They just got me. And it's unfortunate that it happened on short rest because it's easy to point to that, and you know, could have executed a few pitches a little bit better, but like physically, mentally, I felt great. They got me, and we made a new game plan 5 days later and attacked that, and it worked out in my favor. That one could have easily not gone my way as well. So it's like, in terms of short rest, it's like, yeah, it changes the 5-day routine. But at that time of year, 5-day routines are shifting anyways. You know what I mean? Like you're sometimes preparing to be ready in the playoffs, within those 5 days, just in case the team needs you. And as you know, AJ, sometimes like as you get your inning total gets up through the year, sometimes you don't even throw a bullpen over the 5 days, and you just do your work on flat work, and you prepare for that start, and that start goes great. So, you know, short rest does change things, but in terms of that outing, yeah, I am of the belief that it didn't have much impact.
What did that conversation sound like? Because in 2018, I was there when Craig Counsell and Derek Johnson went to Jhoulys Chacin, who was our guy at that time, and said, hey, we need you on 3 days rest. Ironically, pitched against the Cubs. How does Craig come to you and have that conversation? And was there any like kickback? Was it like, hey, I got to see how I feel on the day before to give you a final answer of yes, I can go?
Yeah.
Or was it, nope, I'm doing it?
I mean, we got done. We clinched against the Padres, and you just know the situation you're in. So I went to Craig and said, I can be ready for game one. Like I'm ready for the ball if you give it to me. Um, and he said, Craig's a great leader, and he said, hey, we'll be well, let's talk let's talk tomorrow, sort of thing. And I mean, it was just the right thing to do, like, and with just where the roster was, and where we were rotation wise and whatnot. And I mean, you put it on the flip side. If I feel good on that day and I don't tell him I'm ready to pitch, and we go out and, like, if I'm ready to pitch and I feel good, I'm always going to say I'm ready. Like, I'm never going to say, oh, well, logically, I may not feel ready on this day, so I'm going to hold off. And, it's like, and then that day rolls around, you're like, man, I could have pitched today. I could have helped my team win. And then, like, you always want to be ready. You don't ever know what the outcome's going to be, right? You just say, when the ball's in my hand, I'm going to go compete with all I got, and I'm going to go from there. So if I'm ready to pitch and I know I can do it and do it to the best of my ability, I'm always going to tell them yes, right? I'm never going to hold back in that sense. But, that's just my mentality behind it.
Okay, I want to make one thing clear, Matthew. I wasn't blaming you. I just wanted to know what it was different as a player, because I don't know. I've never
Yeah.
had to play on short rest, right? So I wasn't blaming that at all. So I just wanted
No,
to,
I know
to
you
get
were. I
your-
know you were.
Okay, I just want to make that abundantly clear that I wasn't
Maybe
at
I'm
all.
a little sensitive because everyone was saying that. You know what I mean?
No, I know. I get it. And I didn't, that's why I didn't say, that. I was like, I just want to know what it changes for you. And so you did a great job of laying that out. So thank you. Now, what's your offseason like? When do you start throwing? When do you start picking up a ball? When do you start getting off a mound? When do you start doing all of those things that you need to do to prep for this year? And are you going to the WBC? Maybe I should ask you that. Are you going to be on Team USA slinging that lefty, slider and stuff for the Team USA? Because spring training starts earlier. So does that change your routine?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm going to get the opportunity to represent our country, and I'm super grateful for that. I'm super pumped up. It's an honor. In terms of off-season routine, 2016, I started changing what I did. I started playing catch, like, lighter in terms of the amount of days, but also, like, the amount of throws. And I started doing that right after the season. I used to be kind of that old school of, like, December 1st, you pick up a ball and then, start throwing your bullpens right before you get to spring training. I did that my first few years, and it was just, December was just so hard for my shoulder to get going. It just felt like you were really behind the eight ball. So after talking, and getting it affirmed by, guys like Dr. Meister and whatnot, like, play catch lightly through the off season, and then December rolls around and you amp it up a little bit. In terms of the WBC, you dial up that clock a few weeks earlier. Got a plan laid out with our pitching department with the Cubs about how to prepare for that properly. And I actually had to get ready. We all did as a team last year a little bit earlier because we had that Tokyo series, and we were playing exhibition games and against the Dodgers there. So it's fairly comparable to that. You get off the mound basically 2 to 3 weeks a little earlier than you would if opening day was in April. But I think opening day is even earlier this year too. So you increase the intensity a little bit earlier, since we were already throwing and already in it. Like, it wasn't a jump or anything. It wasn't like, you just kind of really stay in it. And that's just baseball this day and age. Like, some guys face hitters year round. I've never done that, but you're getting off the mound in December as compared to January, and keeping your arm moving all year round.
I feel like I'm really up to date on a lot of baseball stuff. I had no idea you were on Team USA. I didn't know you were playing for Team America, so I appreciate you breaking that news here. How did that come about? Was that something that you said, I want to be a part of this? Was it something that they called you? Was it did Scott set that up with you? How does that come about? And then, since you've agreed to it, have you been, like, getting other pitchers? Because American pitchers, for the most part, don't want to throw in it.
For me, my perspective is this, like, any chance to get to represent our country is something that's really special. And I'm grateful for this game. It's given me so many opportunities. I get to play a game for a living. In 2009 on the 18U team, I was the last cut. In college, I was a replacement player. I was the guy holding the spot for the guys that were in the College World Series. And then, I got sent home and went back to playing college summer baseball. So, I definitely told the, I told the guys I was interested in doing it. And D-Row called a couple weeks ago, and man, when he called, it was something I just knew I wanted to do. So prayed about it, and I'm super excited to get this opportunity and represent Team USA to the best of my ability.
AJ, you're muted.
AJ muted himself.
Sorry, I had no idea. So I'm proud of myself. I had no idea. I was just throwing it out there. Next thing you know, we got Team USA breaking news. So way to go, Matthew
Well, I
Boyd.
wasn't gonna lie,
Congratulations.
but yeah, I've been sitting on it.
No, I know.
since-
And listen,
yeah.
I'm all for it. I'm jealous. because I always wanted to play for Team USA. And the
I
one
know,
year I
man.
got
It's
the
an honor.
opportunity, I know. I got offered 1 year the first WBC, and the White Sox shut it down because we had just won the World Series. So I'm jealous. I'm 100% jealous. Do you?
Mhm.
Here's my thing. Who are you looking forward to? Like, we know Skeens, we know Aaron Judge, we know Cal
Yeah.
Raleigh. I think Bobby Witt's on the team. Do you have a roster? Do they have already told you the roster? Because I'm not saying you should tell
No.
us all, but you should tell us all who's on this team.
No, I know the public names and all that, and I just to get to share a locker room with those guys would be something that's just an honor in and of itself. I mean, having Andy Pennant as a pitching coach is something that, as a kid growing up and watching lefties, not to mention like the best pickoff move of at all time, that's cool in and of itself. But it's I don't know, but like get to share the locker room with Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt, Pete, Corbin, who am I missing? Cal, Raleigh. I mean, Cal's right up the street from me here in Seattle now, so I get to I'll be thrown to him anyways because all my other catchers are moving out of the area, so it'll that's going to work out just fine. But it's man, it's just an honor. It's there's no other words to say it outside of like to get to represent your country, playing the game you love. It's hard to put words to it. I'm super thankful, super grateful, and super excited for the opportunity.
Who's somebody? Now, obviously, I get it. You don't know the whole roster. I'm not telling you. I'm not saying you're going to break any news, but who's somebody that you haven't seen that's on the roster for Team America that you're like, I hope he plays. I hope that because everybody's super juiced that Cal's playing. I mean, he was the hero last year. That Judge is going to play. Like the fact that we're getting the best players to play, but who's somebody that you don't see on the roster yet that you're like, kind of need to see him out there.
I'm biased to my teammates in Chicago. I'm just gonna say that. Like, we got a lot of guys that are worthy. Thinking about the guys on the first base and second base side of the infield there, with Nico and Bushy. I mean, those are two guys that would be fun. I mean, I think Nico Horner is one of the best second basemen in the game. The way he goes about his business, the way he competes, the way he can work in at bat, and it's super impressive. Those guys, we got a lot of guys on our team worthy, those are a few guys, answering that question.
By the way, I want to go back to something you said. Cal Raleigh's going to catch your bullpens this offseason? Like, how the heck do you get Cal Raleigh to catch your bullpens? Because I know once I made it and I never hit 60 homers, people would call me and I'm like, hell no, I ain't
He
catching
offered.
your bullpen. It's
He
offseason.
He offered.
Wow.
I'm not calling Cal. Yeah, I mean, I've thrown to Reese McGuire a lot over the years here. Reese, started going for warmer climates. I threw to a few minor league guys. My wife's cousin, Caleb Hamilton. He was up here for a long time, and but he moved to Texas now that he's coaching. He caught me. I mean, beggars can't be choosers, man. When Cal offered to catch some pens, I'm like, heck yeah, I'd love to. So probably I threw my first pitch fastball last year, and he hit a homer. So it's probably him just like returning the favor in the nicest way. But yeah, I mean, if a catcher offers to catch you and you know he can catch you, there's not going to be like a high school kid that you're worried about like potentially killing behind the plate, you know? Like I'm going to say yes every time.
Hey, I've got one on Team USA. They didn't win last time. So how does this team win this time around? I feel like the pitching gets blamed a lot because it's tough to A, recruit, and B, talk certain teams into allowing their pitchers to pitch.
Mhm.
So what would your recruiting pitch be to someone if they called you and said, hey, I got the phone call. What do you think? Not just what do you think as in, should I say yes? Because you're going to say yes. But how do I navigate
Mhm.
this in terms of prep? I know you haven't done it yet. And making sure that my team is comfortable with me doing it. Because that's a factor, right? Especially if you're a younger pitcher, you haven't gotten a big free agent contract yet, or you're just worried about how the team is going to perceive
Yeah.
you if you're focusing on that.
I mean, every situation is different. I don't think there's one right or wrong answer, you know? I feel like with how I prepare for the season, how I prepared for last season, it's very comparable. It's not the same. You know, I think each guy's just gotta make the best decision given, you know, what's ahead for them and, you know, what they're kind of coming off of. There's not many years that this probably would have worked for me. You know, I think it's kind of a situation where it would have, and I'm super thankful that you know, the Cubs are allowing me to do it, and they're helping me lay out a plan to have the best success to you know, obviously do this, but also, you know, thinking about what is ahead and October after that too, right? So, um, but you know, I do think, you know, so it's hard for me to answer that for somebody else, but I think the opportunity to represent your country, you know, is something that is hard to pass up, and I it's just something for me. I feel like it makes sense, and it's an opportunity that, you know, I couldn't pass up, nor did I really want to, you know, and I'm super honored.
Do you guys get paid? Sounds like the biggest like fourth grade question. How much money do you
I don't
make?
know.
Do you because you don't know? Okay, because the
I don't
big
know.
thing with the
Yeah.
Ryder Cup, everybody was up in arms because these guys are supposed to play for the love of their country, but you're not sure.
No, but that's not what it's about either. You know, like it's something that, you know, I prayed about, and I prayed that if the opportunity was going to present itself, you know, I would go for it. And if I wasn't supposed to do it, the opportunity wouldn't be there. And I'm super thankful. And it came. And man, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, I know that if I prepare the right way, as I have been, you know, we ended the year healthy, had everything went the way it was supposed to. And it's something that I want to do, you know, and, I'm, you know, in terms of pay, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there's something, but that's not what it's about. You get to wear USA on your chest and you get to wear the flag on your sleeve and represent the best country in the world. Like, heck yeah, playing our game, you know, we do everything we can to win that gold medal. There's some really good teams out there, you know, some amazing countries that want the same thing, and it's welcome competition. But I mean, it's about wearing that name on the front of the jersey, and you know, doing everything we can to, you know, hold up that trophy.
Plus, you need bragging rights against Shota, right? So if you guys beat Shota, you can have bragging rights over Japan.
I know. Yeah, it's
So, I
exactly
mean,
right. That's the
and
first
then
thing that came to mind.
Avi
actually,
Baez
doing
is
it.
probably
So
going to be
yeah,
on Puerto Rico, who's the next Cub. I mean, there's, you know, he can come when he comes back to town. He can do his thing. You know, like there's a lot that goes into this as a player, especially as WBC has gotten bigger. So, you know, it's like there's a lot of things that can happen here. But here's my question: you're a Cub. I'm a Cub hater. Okay, we know this, but it
yeah.
doesn't affect our relationship. That's fine. But will the Cubs go out and spend the money they need to do to overtake the high spending Brewers? Right? Will they go out and spend the money and make the team the way they should be because they're the Cubs and they have so much money? Will they do it? Because please say yes, Matthew, because I want every team to go out and spend because baseball is better, as much as this pains me to say this, when the Cubs are better, the Yankees are better, the Dodgers are better, the big cities are better, then it makes the smaller cities have to compete and be better too. So I want them to go spend money. Plus, it ain't my money, so spend it.
Yeah, no, I mean, Let me answer the second half of that question because I think you hit on something really important. I think baseball would agree that baseball is better when the big markets are in it. I mean, like they're winning, like just from a business perspective. But I mean, like the Brewers are a good ball club. The Brewers, the Centrals kind of ran through them, and our manager was a key, architect and doing his thing over there with the Brewers, and now he's here, right? So it's like the Brewers have been good for a long time. They play very good baseball, all around baseball. They play a form of baseball that like I think is a great form. They work at bats, they play good defense, they pitch well, it's a lot how we operate too. I think we got a great team, and I like obviously we came up short to the Brewers. There's an aspect of like, yeah, we got to play better. I got to pitch better. I didn't pitch as well as I needed to pitch against the Brewers last year, all across the season. That's just, those are little things that can come down that like me that matter in the margins. Um, you know, I know that Jed and Carter are doing everything they can to put the best lineup and rotation out there that's going to best like fit the needs that we have and whatnot. That being said, if we didn't make any additions, I'll go to war with the guys we got, right now on day one. And I think we're going to be good. And believe we're good enough to win the World Series. I believe last year we were good enough to win the World Series. You know, Timing is a weird thing in baseball. We just, didn't play good at the right time. And like another team played better than us. But I believe we were fully capable of beating the Brewers. So, such a complex question, AJ, that you ask, and is it fun to get the big name guys and guys that have track records of success on your roster? Absolutely. And I love playing with those guys, and those guys absolutely help you win. But that's not at a detriment to anybody that we have on the roster right now. That's somebody else's pay grade and somebody else's situations, and I'll let them handle that, and I'll stay in my lane and throw when the ball's in my hand. You know what I mean?
Wait, this plays right into my last question for you, Matt. So we're
Yeah.
going full circle here, going back to the postseason. We talked about the game one start, but then you shoved in game four, and then the team ultimately lost in game five to the Brewers in the NLDS. How painful was it for you to either watch or see the results of the next round where the Brewers get swept by the Dodgers and you're thinking, maybe our team would have matched up better against them and we were
Yeah.
one damn win away from being there?
I, it's hard. It's hard, but like I think that's the beauty of baseball is that like the best team doesn't always win, right? Like that goes so many situations of that year after year, right? Like you got to play better on that day, and maybe there's a team that strikes a lot of guys out, and they match up against a team that doesn't. They've got a lineup that just happens to not strike out against those guys, and you know 28, whatever. There might be 29 other teams that, or 28 other teams that match up, poorly against the team, but this one team matches up well. So they're going to win on that day, or it's just the beauty of our game is that there's so many different ways to win. The best team doesn't always win. I think that's very, we've had a lot of parity in terms of teams getting to the World Series, in recent years. And it's like, it's the beauty of baseball. There's styles of the game that you can, styles of lineup, styles of defenses, how rosters are constructed that ultimately lead to different results when you're matched up against different teams. I think you would ask the guys on our roster and say, man, we were not scared of any team in Major League Baseball last year. We were ready. If we got through the Brewers, Brewers were the best record in our league, right? So they were a good ball club. But like, if we got through them, we were ready for the Dodgers. Who knows how that turns out, Then again, I think the Brewers got swept, or they swept the Dodgers during the season, and then they got swept in the playoffs, right? So such a funny game, man. Timing, time of year, so many different things. But we believe that we could have, we were ready to do it. We knew we could get to where we wanted to go last year. It just didn't work out.
No, Kratz, you're muted. There
I'm
you go.
muted.
You're back. You're back.
That wasn't me. But I don't want to get you too hype early, but I have two Team USA jerseys. And the coolest part of a Team USA jersey, and I'm sure Paul Seiler will tell you about it, you see the flag? You see how the flag is backwards?
Progress,
you know why they do
baby.
that?
Forward moving, right?
Forward moving. Like that it gives me chills thinking about I play with Noah Song on Team USA, like somebody who was actually active military, and I was never in the military. It was never something that was in my life, but to be able to wear the Team USA jersey, to be part of that brotherhood of people who have played from the 12U kids all the way up to the big kids in the WBC this year. So congrats and welcome to the club.
Thank you, man. I'm honored. I'm grateful. All those reasons you said ring true with me too, man. It's something I don't take lightly. And it's something that if you would have asked, 12, 14-year-old Matt Boyd that you'd get a chance to play in the WBC, or I guess WBC wasn't around back then, but you get the chance to represent your country while you're a big leaguer. I mean, dang, dude, I wouldn't have words for that. That'd be amazing. So I'm so thankful. And it's going to be something that I will cherish regardless of how it goes for the rest of my life.
Oh, we can't wait. And we were excited to talk to you anyway, because we hadn't talked to you since the playoffs. This was like a little bonus on top of that to get some of the ins and outs of how it all went down. So good to see you, dude. Love the smile. Very excited for you to pitch at the WBC. It kind of amps up like you're basically going to be in a playoff scenario when we see you in the beginning of March pitching baseball games. So thanks for sharing the info, dude. Good to see you. We'll catch you again later this offseason. All right.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Good to see you. That's Matthew Boyd of the Chicago Cubs and Team USA. Hot corner time. We got some fresh notes from Ken Rosenthal this morning in his column. Let us begin with Kyle Schwarber. There is interest from the Reds. There's interest from Schwarber. AJ is laughing. Why? Because if you keep reading the article, you can see that the math is not mathing. I would love to see this. If there's someone that would be more perfect, please tell me who it would be, AJ. Offense needed thump. This would be a great guy to hit behind Ellie. This would be a great guy for a very young clubhouse, right? He's from Ohio, grew up going to Reds games, the whole deal. There's interest from him. It's just that he's probably going to get 5 years, 130 to 150 mil. The Reds have already announced that they're going to keep payroll in the same range as last year. That gives them about $20 million to spend. That alone won't cover Kyle Schwarber. And there are not a lot of big-time movable contracts. Like in the article, AJ, Gavin Lux's name is thrown out there. That's $5 million. That's still not getting you there. So am I just saying what's going – am I basically narrating your brain right now?
Let me just say this, Scott. Who did we have on earlier? Noah Hiles. Who does he work for? The Pittsburgh Pirates.
He doesn't work for the Pirates.
Well, he works. He
covers the
works,
Pirates. The Pirates would not hire him.
Yes,
Right,
I know.
right.
He covers. Excuse me. He covers the Pirates. What did I ask him? Are they just going to say they're in on a guy to make the fans happy? Do we really think we have to look at track records that the Castellini family, who owns the Reds, and they have a great restaurant and hotel they own out in Scottsdale. I stayed there for spring training called Sanctuary. Wonderful place. But do you think that they're going to take their money and put it into Kyle Schwarber after the track record of never having done this in their entire life? And all of a sudden they're going to flip a switch and say, we're going to sign Kyle Schwarber for 3 years, $130 million. No, it's not going to happen. And to get him to go to Cincinnati, I know he's from there and he grew up going to Reds games and this and that, blah, 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 blah. They're going to have to overpay, and they don't have a history of doing it. So it's cool. It's great. It's a fun story. Yay, team. Go Reds. Mr. Red, Mrs. Red. Bronson Arroyo out there on his boat playing the guitar. Todd Frazier hitting one-handed homers. Joey Votto wearing his uniform 3 sizes too small. All that is great. But at the end of the day, they're not going to do it because they haven't done this. And until they do it, I got to see it.
Yeah, it's such a bummer, Kratz, because I know that they can't think this way. But if the Reds have a little playoff run in them next year, you're going to make up that money and then some, right? I mean, I think we can calculate whatever the number is, $5, $10, $15 million per playoff game that you get, right? We don't have the official public numbers. I really think Kyle Schwarber is the missing piece for a team like this. They've got a nice core of young starters. They have a developing core of young position players, more work to do there, but their offense wasn't good enough. And it's at Great American Ballpark too. Even if, I mean, whether you look at the regular offense or the league adjusted offense looks even worse for them, right? Like league adjusted, park adjusted, I should say, offense last year by most metrics, they were bottom 10. This is a park where home runs are hit. Their home run leader last year was Elly De La Cruz at 22 home runs, including just 4 in the second half of the season. There were reports, of course, of an injury for Elly. Also, he was getting fed more off-speed pitches, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, Kyle Schwarber hit 56 home runs last year for Philadelphia.
A lot of teams, when you look at signing a DH for 5 years, you say, all right, like when you look at the Phillies, okay, like, well, we're going to have Trey Turner who's going to need some DH time. Bryce Harper is going to need some DH time in those 5 years. The Reds don't have that. The Reds are not aging the way that other teams are. So that's why this does fit. He's from Cincinnati. He's got more kids now. That'd be huge. He'd be able to make his mark on yet another team. And everywhere this guy goes, they make the playoffs. With the Cubs, they won the World Series. He goes to the Phillies, they lose in the World Series. They make the playoffs every year. Like, he is that kind of game-changing person. But exactly like AJ said, sorry, Reds fans, it ain't going to happen.
It's such a bummer. It feels right. Wait, you're muted, AJ, but it feels right. It feels right.
They could. Shoot, you stupid mute button. Dang, gosh dang it. Stupid mute button. But they can't afford it. They can't afford it. But my question is listen, as much as we all love Kyle Schwarber and we love what he brings offensively, are they only one piece away? Because so who's their first baseman? Is it Sal Stewart? Is it Encarnacion Strand? Is Elly going to take the next step? Is Stevenson stay healthy? They're more than one piece away. I think that's the way you got to look at it, and that's the way they're going to do it.
I don't agree that they're one piece away. I think.
No, I'm saying they're more than
one piece away. No, I think they are one piece away. I think Spencer Steer. I think Matt McClain. I think Elly De La Cruz. And I'm only going on watching them, seeing, okay, this track record. Is Elly always going to be a OPS plus of 106 for his career? I have a hard time believing that. That athletic, that fast on the bases, switch hitter. He's never facing right on right, left on left. Like, I think there's too many pieces, and they're just grossly underperforming offensively. Now, this might be one of my conspiracy theories. The pitching is ridiculous for this team. The starting pitching is ridiculous. The bullpen was a little above average, and the offense was brutal. So is Great American Small Park all of a sudden becoming a pitcher's park? Did the humidor get turned up a little bit too much? I'm just saying, just looking at it, like maybe it's not as great of a hitting place as it used to be.
All right, well, I'm going to ask you this. Here's the problem with the Reds. They strike out too much. Look at their strikeout numbers. They strike out a ridiculous amount. That's not going to change just because you throw Kyle Schwarber in there, because guess what Kyle Schwarber does too? He strikes out a lot. You got to find some other ways to generate offense. And humidor or no humidor, if Kyle Schwarber goes out and hits you 45 homers, if your next guy has 20 and it's Elly, you got to find out a way to cut down on the strikeouts. That's the biggest thing for the Reds offense. They strike out way too much. Check the numbers.
Okay. So maybe someone like Okamoto is more the answer, right? More of a contact, higher floor kind of guy. I mean, it's certainly a huge difference in terms of clubhouse presence. I feel like Kyle Schwarber is leading the league, or one of the top guys to be able to really influence a young ball club. It's no knock on Okamoto. I'm just bringing it up. I mean, he's coming from another country, and many other guys, it's like, sure, they could be a good fit, but it just felt like this had it written up, and it's not likely to actually happen. But who knows? Maybe the Reds will just wake up one day and decide, screw it, let's up the payroll for 1 year. And if we end up getting a couple extra playoff games out of it, it more than covers it anyway. I don't think they're one piece away from being a World Series winning team. I do think they're a piece like Schwarber away from being much more of a surefire playoff contender, right? Last year, they made it 83 wins. They made it just barely. I think they would be in a much better position here. And I do think some of that young pitching is going to take the next step for them in the rotation. Okay, Next thing on the list, and the last one we'll cover here today from Ken, had to do with the Brewers. They are the ultimate flip-floppers right now. I mean, because some of these comments have been public. It's not like they're just coming from anonymous sources. Maybe Freddie Peralta gets traded. Now we're probably not going to trade him. Oh, Woodruff took the qualifying offer. Now maybe we'll trade him. Then again, you kind of see that they're not going to trade him. Now, Ken Rosenthal has tilted the pendulum back to, we're listening. So, AJ, I do think some of this has to do with teams calling and upping their, I don't want to say offers, but their conversations, because they like to do this slow little teaser dance with everyone when they call about trade talks. I think they're doing that because they looked at Dylan Cease 7 years, net present value close to $200 million, and said, 29-year-old Cease kind of player or 29-year-old Freddie Peralta with better credentials right now, right? Or at least comparable credentials for $8 million next season. So if you're a contender, you're like, maybe I could find one more prospect to make this happen, Milwaukee. Can I entice you into this? It's not a money thing for Milwaukee. He's $8 million. Like any team can afford that. For Milwaukee, they're just like, he's probably gone after this year. Do we have to maximize a return here, or can we afford to keep him, build on the 97 win team from last year, and then give a qualifying offer and just get a first round pick versus multiple high level prospects?
No, I agree. It's not a money thing. We can get it super extra special stuff for this guy, and hopefully that helps us. Now, they didn't. Usually Milwaukee's ahead of this game. They did it with Devin Williams. They've done it for years with Corbin Burns. But the one guy they let walk was Willie Adames, right? And they had a hard time kind of filling his offense, even though they won a bunch of games. Freddie Peralta, $8 million. Teams are like, man, we can get 1 year of healthy, full menu Freddie. And he finished probably, I don't know where he finished in the Cy Young, but top 5 in the Cy Young. He can go pitch for us? Heck yeah. And we'll give you the A, B, C, and D. I like this for Milwaukee. I hate it if you're a fan, but at the same time, I'm like, if we can get a bunch of things that can keep our hot streak going and our winning and our playoffs going, you have to do it. I'm sorry.
Calling on line 6 is the Red Sox. How do the Brewers have to match up with a team that is going to give them big league ready pieces? To me, I think it's 2 players. I think it's Jarren Duran, and I think it's another player that helps fill whatever void the Brewers have to continue to win. Is it Marcelo Meyer and somebody else? Is it something that is young and able to fit right into this team? I don't know. But Freddie Peralta, I was trying to see what Corbin Burnes was making his last year before he got traded to Baltimore, and Corbin Burnes was making more than $8 million. And Corbin Burnes brought in Joey Ortiz and DL Hall. I know DL Hall was hurt, but there's a lot of extra spice there when you're talking about 2 top of the line prospects that are already in the big leagues, already have big league experience. I think that's what the Brewers would be looking for, and it's going to be a huge haul because he's only getting paid $8 million. And when you look at it, now all of a sudden the Red Sox go Crochet, Gray, and Freddie P, and then you're rounding it out with Bayo and the young core of guys that came up and filled in last year. All of a sudden, the pendulum swings back in the Red Sox favor for the American League East.
Yeah, he was getting 16 mil Corbin Burnes in that last year. Those deals have also worked out really well for the teams, right? I mean, not Burnes after that since he got hurt, but his one season with Baltimore, I mean, he was a number 1 starter for them, pitching dominantly in a playoff game for them that they lost, but not his fault. And then Crochet, I mean, that's one of the best trades in a while. I mean, you picked up a 1, then you were able to lock him up long term. So Freddie P is going to be a hot commodity. We'll talk a lot more about him next week at the winter meetings, if not before that time period too. Okay, we'll be right back for Slap. But first, BetMGM Futures National League Pennant. So who would represent the National League? Is this right? Plus 600 for the Mets? 6-1 odds?
They are appreciating what they think Uncle Stevie's going to do. They're already pushing it forward. If it's plus 600, that means that the Dodgers are probably up there. That means that the Phillies are up there, and they're going to probably be They'd be the third team in the National League is what they're thinking. The team that missed the playoffs last year in the Mets still haven't added a starting pitcher yet. I'm not even putting that money down with AJ's money.
Yeah. I mean, it is right, AJ. It is confirmed. Double, triple confirmed. I mean, oof. To go from what they just did last year to putting them at 6-1 odds to represent the National League. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying that is not good value for me.
No. And also the other thing you have to understand, Scott, and you know this better than I do, is that they are also trying to entice people into betting on this. So that's why their odds might not be exactly
No,
what
do
you
mean?
think
They're
they
not
should be.
enticing me. It's the opposite. No, it's not about that.
But
I mean, it has
Mets
to do with how
fans
much money
think
is being placed.
Mets fans
You know
think, oh, we're one move away. Boom.
Oof. I'm the
One
what's the
position.
opposite of enticed?
I'm just saying. I don't know. I'm just saying that's what Mets. If you talk to Mets fans, they're like, we're one move away because we have Soto, Lindor. If we bring back Pete and we get one pitcher, we're ready to go. We traded Nimmo. We have Simeon.
Yeeks.
Are they?
Dude, there are teams that are in the double digits to 1 odds that I feel just as good, if not better, about. Okay.
Right.
Cincinnati Reds.
And Braves are 10-1 odds. Reds are 20-1 odds. Diamondbacks are 30-1 odds. Padres and Brewers are 12-1 odds. So again, I'm not saying I think the Mets are in the mix with those teams. As sure, could they just totally turn it around, buy a bunch of pitching over the next few weeks, and be different next year? No doubt, the talent's there. But 6-1, that's already kind of banking on the Mets completely going nuts this offseason, in my mind. So anyway, if someone else feels differently, like that's good value, please let me know. But we'll advise you on, or at least on our front, I have some other ideas on where I personally will be placing my money on futures a little bit differently. BetMGM players, get yourself a little no sweat token to apply to any pro football bet. You use the token, you add a bet on a pro football event to your bet slip, and you activate the token. You get bonus bets if the bet that was made with the token loses. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Let's slap. All right, we're getting out of here. AJ already got booted out of his room. He only reserved it till 3. We go a little overtime here, 2 minutes. But also, Trevor May's May Day has begun, so we should get out of here fast. Kratz Hatz, and then we'll go watch Trevor.
I mean, it's covering my dome. The A's just showed us what their dome is going to look like. Prove it, and they're proving it. So I had to wear the A's hat today to celebrate it. And the green, brings the green out in my eyes.
It is beautiful. It is beautiful. How will it look in Las Vegas? We can get into that a little bit tomorrow in terms of the model that was shown, and really John Fisher's comments, everyone's favorite in Major League Baseball. So we'll bring up what the owner of the A's said, and there were some disgruntled fans about who was shown on the mock-ups. Again, we'll get into that in tomorrow's episode of FT. May Day is on right now, and if you want to check it out, we'll flip you right to it over on our FT YouTube channel.